YouTube? It's me, MTG Angel, and I'm here to talk about my TCG engine and the philosophy behind it. So, here's the main case. Imagine you could take your paycheck of $1,000 per week and throw it 5 years into the future, and it come back as $2,000. Would you do it? Now, think about that. The opportunity cost is about 5 years. You're losing all of that potential to do whatever you want with your money, but you're securing a 20% CAGR, compound annual growth rate. So if you think about it, you're getting 20% of your money every year. That's really good. As an investment, that's really good. Not only are you doubling your paycheck, but there's potential for upside. And you can do that over and over and over and over again. The only problem is that you don't have that money to use immediately. You can do this with TCG quite expectedly. You can do it quite often. And the 20% CAGR is actually a vast estimation. It's very conservative because a lot of TCG investments, they do 30, 40, 50% CAGRs, especially when you start talking about stuff like Pokemon, when you start talking about Magic the Gathering collector boxes, where some of these things have already 5x'd and it hasn't even been 5 years. 5 years just to 2x? No, these things have 5x'd, 10x'd, 20x'd. So what should you be doing if you would also like to replicate this kind of doubling or tripling of your paychecks and with a 5-year outcome or a 5-year outlook? Number one is I would identify some modern products, or I would say identify what you like. So maybe there's a product or a type of card, or maybe a style of card or something that you really enjoy and you love in these spaces. And I would recommend, if you're in Magic, I would get collector boxes almost exclusively, or secret layers. But as you might have seen if you look around at the prices, stuff like commander decks or booster boxes or bundles, gift bundles, all of these little things, even a lot of singles, have done quite extraordinary, perhaps rivaling or outpacing collector boxes. And in Pokemon, almost anything, you can get pretty much anything and have that thing just take off at some point in time. There really is just not enough for the amount of natural demand that Pokemon has as an IP. So I would identify what you like. For me, I like a lot of angels, I like a lot of fairies, I like anime arts, I like booster boxes, mostly collector boxes. I love secret layers if I like the art, or I can identify with the art, or maybe I think that it's maybe I think it's a banger. And so that's kind of the space I'm playing around with a lot, and even some specs, but the specs are kind of a little less predictable, and I like sealed product. So the next thing I would do is I would maintain the idea to dollar cost average into any of these investments. What do I mean by this? Let's say you decide that you're going to be investing into Scarlet and Violet base set booster boxes. And like I said, you need to decide for yourself, because a lot of people, you might tell that, say Scarlet Violet base, and they'll say, you're crazy, that thing's never going to move up in price, that thing's a dead weight. Even though I had mentioned that maybe like a couple months ago, I had bought some Scarlet Violet base, and they're already up 25% from that. It hasn't even been a full year. So that's outpacing the 20% CAGR that I'm talking about for now. I know it was out a couple years ago, whatever, and to be honest, I think it's even outpacing even back then, because those boxes were probably $100 at one point. I do know everything else has outran it, so apples to oranges. So I would dollar cost average into anything. You pick something. Me right now, one of my big things that I'm dollar cost averaging into is 151 bundles. I had also dollar costed averaged in the past into Brothers War when it was under 300. And so, yes, I would continuously buy, and every so often just buy one or two. Use any discount you can. A credit card might be able to give you 1 or 2% cash back. There's a lot of different services and apps that might be giving you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% back on something like eBay. TCG Player, their program, their subscription program that you can get the direct on gives you about 1, 2, 3% back. And so I would be stacking these things. Maybe if you open up a new credit card, you can actually get the point bonus pretty quickly with your investments, and so that can make it almost like $750,000 off if you think of it like that. So I would definitely heavily be doing that. I would be stacking any bonuses and averaging into it. Every so often, buy a stack, maybe 4, 5, 6. Come back to it, buy another stack, 4, 5, 6. Let's say your paycheck that you're working with is $600 a week. Well, you might be able to get 1 or 2 or 3 bundles a week, respectfully. Let's say you don't have any rent. When it has rent, it kind of gets tight if you only have $600 a week and you're kind of scraping by. And that, I don't know if TCGs are easy, or it's easier to dollar cost than TCGs just because each unit is about like $60 or so all at once. Whereas maybe another investment you can do like $5 a day or something like that. It's kind of hard to put $5 a day towards a TCG. You could have a high yield savings account that you pull the money into. A high yield savings account would be giving you about 4% back on your money as it sits there. And anytime you're ready to buy something, you can pull that money out and pay for it. I don't really recommend that you do that route. It's just a lot of effort for really what it's worth. And I'm not sure if you can commit to that. That's something that sounds quite challenging. But if you do have, let's say, $100 or $200 for free every week, you could definitely pick up 1 or 2 bundles of your specific favorite. Now, for $151, I'm picking these up off eBay. They, I think Football Pete, I forgot what his name is. He's been selling those for about $104, $105 each before tax. You can get the 3% off from eBay using the wallet app from Samsung or Pi Shopping. Pi Shopping should give you about 1%. And then you can also get another 1% off of your credit card. If you do have a LLC, you can potentially get it for tax-free. And those are your options. I would continuously roll it into it. Next step is to just simply wait. You're going to be waiting as long as needed. You're going to be waiting a year. You're going to be waiting 2 years, 3 years. And you might not see much growth within that time frame for whatever product you pick. The thing is, let's say there's 100 on the market. You may need to wait for half the market to be cleared up before the prices start drifting up. Because most people will be doing what most other people are doing, which is selling at the low. Maybe it's some card shop and they're just trying to get a little quick flip, a little $20, $30, $40 on the inventory that they just picked up for free. So they're just getting rid of it. They don't really care about what this product is. They don't care about the long-term future. Maybe they do and they keep a couple, but for even them, they might be dollar cost averaging into their positions where they're selling a little bit, making some profit on those, and then the rest is almost a little cheaper. Here's an example. Let's say I can buy 5 bundles for $50, and then the price moves up a bit, and I can sell 2 of those bundles for $100. Well, that reduces the average cost of all of your bundles by a good $40. And now the last ones, the last like 3 bundles you have, they're only like $10 each or something like that. It's really good. So it makes sense. I also like to dollar cost average sell. What I like to do is price my things very high on open markets like TCG Player, and the only people that are going to buy it is either people that want a more reputable store, or maybe they are international and they will be paying extra on shipping. And honestly, I can sometimes get it so that I'm selling something, even like a sealed item like a Prismatic Evolutions Elite Trainer box or 151 bundle. I can sell it for more than I can buy it for. I can immediately buy it back, and I get those percentages from eBay and my card, and so it's kind of just free real estate, free money, and I even profit a little bit off of it. So I like to do that. It just helps me kind of get my cost basis down, and then I can immediately buy it back, and it's free cost basis right there. So that's what I would be doing. Those are pretty much all my recommendations. Pretty simple plan. I think the last thing I can recommend is to have your own conviction. So here's an example. Let's say you have never surfed before, and you approach one of the hardest beaches, and you see the turbulent waves. Let's say you even take a little bit of a swim in the water, and you just feel the waves, and it gets scary. You may write it off and say these beaches are unsurfable. The waters are unsurfable. Now, are they unsurfable, or are you just not good enough at surfing? Are you not skilled enough with the waters or the beach that you've picked? Maybe there's a lot you need to learn, or you need to adjust, or maybe you need to stick with the water. And I would say this is the same for TCGs. There's going to be a lot of investments that you decide that, hey, this might have some potential. And part of you might even doubt the potential. You might have many moments of doubt. You may buy it, and the moment you finally get it in your hands, you may say, oh man, I'm actually regretting that. Maybe I shouldn't have bought all this stuff. Maybe I'm actually wasting my money. And it's called buyer's remorse, and it's very common. But you need to have the conviction to say, nope, not only am I going to stay with it, but I'm going to continue to buy. Because here's the thing, if your product, whatever that you're investing in, what if it does come true? What if it becomes exceptionally true? And you were picking up 151 boost bundles, after this video, you ran to eBay and you were picking them up for 100 each. Now, let's say they moon to $400 a bundle. But at some point when you were buying those $100 bundles, let's say maybe they even had like a little reprint. Maybe they released a couple and the price went down from $100 on eBay to like 75. Let's say it went back down to 75 or something like that, or 60. You may be feeling really bad about your investment. But let's say by the end of the 5 years, it's still at $400. You would have psyched yourself out instead of taking that as an opportunity to buy more cheap bundles with a dollar cost average. Because here's the thing, it's better to keep and maintain a positive viewpoint and consistent strategy than it is to change as the tides change. To just go in the market every day and do the same thing is much easier to do than it is to try to change and move and predict and feel and shift. So that's what I think, and that's what I'm doing. That's my strategy. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you're doing it too. Let me know if you have some type of strategy or product that you're dollar cost averaging into. Right now, for me, it's still going to be 151 bundles, although I need a little bit of a breather. I just bought a ton of the Fallout Seeker layers, and I may go back in there and buy some more. We're going to see what happens. But for now, we're sitting pretty with what we got. So let me know what you think, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.